Pure Soul members, welcome to the month of July. Happy 4th of July to you and your family. I hope you have a wonderful celebration. If you're seeing this video after 4th of July, I hope you had a wonderful celebration. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I can't wait to share the spiritual focus topic with you guys, but as you know, before we get started on that, I do want to share a few Alma Pra updates with you. So our Ask Nikki Zoom will be held on Thursday, July 20th at 6 p.m. I hope to see you guys there. I thought for our Zoom discussion this month, I have a question for you to ponder. What is a life lesson that you learned the hard way? And how did it impact your life after you learned the lesson? And why was it hard for you? I thought maybe some of us in the Zoom would be able to share that information with each other so that we don't have to go through the hard time that you experienced, and you all don't have to go through the hard time that I experienced. I do have a couple that I want to share with you guys, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And I hope that you feel comfortable enough with your hard life lessons to do the same. I also want to let you know that our monthly discount is for 20% off of an individual session. So just use the coupon code 20 for you. Next month, I will come up with a different type of discount. So I hope you take advantage of the 20% off for this month. Now on to the spiritual focus topic. I thought I'd name this spiritual focus topic for this month, Heaven Whispers. Why did I name it that way? Because heaven shares information with me that helps me ground myself in my everyday life. It also helps me to gather new perspectives about some of the things that I worry about or stress about. And it gives me a lot of food for thought. And I thought I would choose 3 of my friends from heaven that have shared some really good key pieces of information with me that I can share with you. So let's get started on our spiritual focus topic, Heaven Whispers. So last week, I had a session with this lady who lost her husband due to a terminal illness. And obviously, she was broken about it. And so when I reached out to her husband in heaven, he initiated the vision of his connection by pulling up in this beautiful, like light colored luxury type of car, like a Lincoln Continental or like one of those old Buicks that was like really, really huge, but it was light colored, it was luxurious, and it was beautiful. And he seemed to be thrilled with this beautiful car that he pulled up into our session with. And as he was pulling up, like think of the sun shining behind you as you're driving. He like drove up to the session with this beautiful heaven sunshine light behind him. It was really kind of an impacting vision. And it kind of took me back because when he ended that part of the vision, he then was sitting on a pier fishing, and behind him was this like cabin kind of house or like a lake house. I could smell a really light aroma of like a barbecue grill going, and I heard music in the background in the vision. So he really made a point to activate some of my senses. First, it was how excited he was about his car. Then I could smell this barbecue smell. And then I'm hearing music. And then I'm watching him fishing at the pier at this little cabin place. And I was like, telling her his wife this, and I'm like, it's really interesting because he shows me all of these things, and does any of that like make sense to you? And so I could tell that she was very like choked up because as I was saying some of the parts of the vision that he was showing me, I could hear her going, oh wow, oh wow. And so when I asked her if it made sense, she said that his favorite car he ever had was the last one that he purchased a few years prior to his passing, and that was in fact a Lincoln Continental. And then she said that they had danced the night away on their last vacation together to the song Margaritaville, which was actually the song. I don't know if I just mentioned that, but was actually the song I was hearing in the background. And she said that his favorite pastime was being up at their lake house and fishing. And I was like, what? Oh my God. The whole session that I had with this man was like that. He just kept showing me all these things that he loved to do while he was here on earth. So it's like he came and gave me all of this, his favorite things type of visions. And it really left me speechless because, to be honest, I was like amazed at how well he was communicating with me, which his wife also confirmed that he was a great communicator while he was here on earth too. And it was a really beautiful session. And then as we were closing the session, he said to me, and very literally, which is not usually the case with people that connect with me from heaven, the spiritual communication isn't a vocabulary, word-based type of communication. It's very visual. It activates my third eye a lot, gives me references to experiences that I've had in my life. So when someone in heaven is definitely trying to be like conveying a message, something very, very important that they want me to really pay attention to, they actually tell me in words. And that's what he did. And he said, heaven is great. And I wish I wouldn't have been afraid. I wish I wouldn't have been afraid to die. I thought when I was here on earth that dying meant that I would lose something. But in fact, I didn't lose anything. And that's basically how he conveyed the message to me, is like, wow, I wish I wouldn't have been afraid to die because I have everything. In fact, I didn't lose anything when I passed. He said, I have my wife, I have my children, I have my grandchildren, I have my car, I have the lake house, I have the barbecue grill, I have songs playing that reference earth and beautiful times and experiences in my life. And it really like knocked me over. And so if I could say that what this gentleman shared with me was, you don't lose anything when you come to heaven. You gain everything. I think sometimes when we're here on earth, the idea of dying can kind of freak us out because we think like, how am I going to get my favorite tacos? Or who's going to take care of my puppy? Or I'm going to lose everything I've worked so hard for, and I'll never be in that beautiful car again that I really enjoyed and that I really worked hard for. And when I got off the session, I was telling Marissa all about it, and I was telling her how much it impacted me. And I think we all have a fear of dying. And some people might say that they don't have a fear of dying, and maybe they don't. But it kind of, maybe they don't have a fear of dying, but we believe as the human race that dying marks the end of something. And what this man really was sharing with me and what he demonstrated to me is that it's not an end to anything. It's like the continuation of everything that he loved, everything that was of importance to him, keeping in mind that he didn't share anything that wasn't pleasing to him. He didn't share the guy he got mad at work. He didn't share the childhood arguments he had with his friends as he was growing up. He didn't share any breakups with old girlfriends. He didn't share anything that he didn't like, which I thought was also really interesting and reconfirmed for me that the only thing that ends when we pass and transition and move to a heaven type of realm, the only thing we lose is all the bad shit. We lose the anger, we lose the ego, we lose the pride, we lose the arguments, we lose those difficult connections that we had in our life. In fact, what we lose and what ends when we go to heaven is all the shit we don't like anyway. But everything that we like and everything that we love and everything that we worked for and everyone that we care about, it remains part of our existence. It kind of does come with us. People say like, oh, you can't take that with you. But I kind of beg to differ. And when I had this session with her and her husband, and he shared all that information. It brought me back to a time in my life early on in my journey, probably when I was about maybe 33 or 34. My grandma had come to me, and this is kind of what this session touched upon for me. And this is what I was sharing with Marissa and what I want to share with you. When my grandma came to visit me one time, she took me to this place that was like, it looked like a big storage facility. So think of, you're driving down the road and you pass this storage place where you can put all the stuff that doesn't fit in your house anymore, or stuff that's important to you, a public storage kind of place. And so she brought me to this place that was very similar in heaven. And maybe she arranged it that way so I was familiar with it and I understood what she wanted me to do, or what she was trying to teach me, or even what she was referring to. So it's me and my grandma, and we're walking down this like country kind of block. Everything smelled good and everything was beautiful. And we came upon this storage type of location. And she opens this storage unit, and it was like a slot in the sky. And she just kind of opened it like wedged open. And when I looked inside, it was a never ending storage unit. Like I could see the universe in the background. I could see the world, the sun, the day and the night, and the snow and the rain, and the clouds and the trees. And I mean, I could see so far into this, and it was ever expansive. It wasn't small. It wasn't like a regular storage location where you only have so much room to put in what you want to, keep in storage. You have a limited amount of space. But when my grandma opened up this slot in heaven, it was huge, and it could be as huge as I wanted it to be. And so she looked at me and she's like, "Okay, put in there whatever you want." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And she goes, "Whatever you want to take with you to heaven, put it in this storage container, put it in this storage space that I have, that I've shown you." And I was like, okay. So I started to, and this seemed automatic. I didn't have to think about what I wanted to put in there. And what I noticed is I threw my kids in there. I threw my husband in there. I threw this, like my mom, before she passed away, she made this, like ceramic cat with a really beautiful saying on it. And she didn't finish it. In fact, she passed away before it was in the kiln that they do to get it, to get it shiny. Like she had finished painting it, and it was just, it had to be cooked. I don't know a lot about ceramics, so I don't know that process. But I know that after my mom passed, the lady that she was doing the ceramics class with brought these ceramic cats to me and my sisters, and we each got one. And I put that in my slot. And then after Brittany was born, my mom said, "Oh, you guys, you're grown up now and you're a mom, so you're not going to get any Christmas presents because I'm going to spend all my money on the Christmas presents that I'm buying for your daughter because now you're all grown up." And I was like, "Oh, no, of course, Mom. Like, I totally get that. Don't even worry about it. I don't need any gifts." But that Christmas, the first Christmas with Brittany, my mom actually gave me this. It was like an $8 accent table. I don't know if you guys remember those, but it's like a round table, and it has, 3 legs on it, and you can put it in the corner, and it's just an accent table, like from Walmart. And I think it was like $8. And she also bought me this really beautiful, like little tablecloth that went over this accent table. I put that in my slot. I put this structure. It was like, my grandpa used to make these things out of sawdust. Like he was like a sculptor of sawdust. So he would make a clown, or he would make a horse, or he would make a doll, and he would give it to us. And so I put that in my slot. And there was a lot of other things I put in my slot. But if I had to sit down and think about what do I want to put in my slot, I I don't know if I would have chosen the things that I chose to put in my storage space for when I go to heaven. And after I came back from that vision quest or that experience with my grandmother, I noticed that the things that I put in my slot were things that were so deeply connected to moments of love and affection in my life. And I thought, oh my gosh, I think everybody has a slot in heaven where they, through the course of their life, they just add things to this storage space in heaven, things that mean something to you. And that's what this reading reminded me of, is this time that my grandma took me to this space to add things to what my heaven experience was going to be. And I really want to ask you that about yourself. What would you put in your heaven storage space that you will be enjoying when you get to heaven? Is it the Lincoln Continental? Is it your favorite car? Is it your dream car? Is it a little gift that somebody gave you? Is it a letter that somebody wrote you? Like, what are you putting in your slot? And I thought it would be a really cool kind of exercise for you just to review with yourself to see what really means something to you, because those are the things that you are bringing to heaven. And sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's the aroma of a barbecue grill, sometimes it's a party you went to, sometimes it's just a little token that somebody gifted to you, sometimes it could just be a feather on the ground that you find that impacts you. But the things that go in your slot are the things that you get to keep. And even though my grandmother showed me this as a very kind of, what do you want to put in here? I understood at that time that through the course of our lives, the things that touch our soul are the things that stay. The things that don't touch our soul or don't rise our soul to the vibration of oneness and the vibration of love, we don't take those things with us. But believe me, you didn't like them here on earth anyway. So it's a good thing that you don't take them with us. So basically, this gentleman really reminded me that when we go to heaven, we don't lose, we gain. We remember, and all time is like it ceases to exist because heaven is an eternal space. So you may have put things in your slot from when you were 2 or 3 or 10 or 20 or 30. So it's not like you outgrow anything that you have put in there over the course of your lifetime. But if you had to sit down and do an exercise out of this, what things would you put in your slot? So one time I was giving a reading to a lady who wanted to connect with her mom. And her mom goes through the entire confirmation process. And any of you guys who have had a mediumship session with me or have connected with me about people in heaven, you remember that there's this confirmation process that has to begin when we connect with them. So maybe they might tell me how they passed away. They might tell me that there's a birthday or anniversary and 1 or more months. They might tell me that they really love their hairdo. But what they're doing in the initiation of connecting with me through a mediumship session is they're confirming that they are who we think they are. So typically, let's say that your mom connects with me. When I check your energy to see if there's anybody there, if it's your mom or your grandmom, they will stand next to you on a certain side of your body and they will put their hand on your shoulder. And when a person in heaven does that, I know that this person is either your mom or your dad or your grandma or your grandpa. Over the years, that's how they connect. So that's what I'll start the session with. I'll say, oh, I believe that your mom or your grandma is here. And then it's the person in heaven, it's their job to share another piece of information with me, like your family has birthdays and anniversaries in June, July, and August. So then your job as the receiver of the session would confirm or deny that that is actually true or false. And So we went through this confirmation process. And one of the ways that I do this is I do ask everybody in heaven to share 3 pieces of information with me so that I get a piece of information that's for God the Father, a piece of information that is for Jesus Christ the Son, and a piece of information that is for the Holy Spirit. And it just means that I'm looking to cover 3 different opportunities for the person in heaven to confirm that they are who we think they are, or that they are who we invited to join us in the session. And so when this lady came to see me for the purpose of talking to her mom went through this entire confirmation process and provided me enough information to make us both, myself and the woman I was having the session with, that made us feel really comfortable that we were in fact talking to her mom. So one of the questions that the lady asked me is, what's my mom been doing lately? And so during the session with her mom showed me a plane ride. She then showed me the Vatican. She showed me Italy. She told me that she really liked the rosary that I had. And then the vision changed and she flipped me over to Spain. And then I was like in Europe. And then all of a sudden I wasn't there anymore. And I was in a cliff, like on a cliff overlooking the ocean in Hawaii. And her mom is sharing this like rapid visions with me. And she was thrilled and she was so happy and she was smiling and she was laughing. And she told me that she had a lot of vacations to catch up on, you know? And so her daughter, as I was telling her daughter this, her daughter's face like went from this total belief that her mom was connecting with me to a total disbelief that I was talking to her mom. And I was like, and she was like, no, I don't think that's my mom. And I'm like, no, she already went through the confirmation process. Like she proved that she is your mom. And now you asked what was she doing in heaven? And these are the things that she's sharing with me. And the daughter was like, no, I don't understand that, because my mom was so terrified of water that we couldn't even drive over a bridge that had water underneath it, let alone get on a plane ride and fly over the ocean. Like my mother would not cross over the ocean. She wouldn't cross over water. She was deathly afraid that she would die, or that she would die by drowning. And so I asked her mom to give me a confirmation vision, like, you showed me this, you showed me this, and you showed me this. Can you confirm that I'm understanding you correctly? And she kept giving me all these confirmation visions, that series of visions that she showed me about making up for lost time on vacations was actually true. So I had to believe that the glimpses of her heaven that she showed me was true, even though her daughter didn't think so. So after a few confirmation visions from her to prove that what I saw was true and to help me feel comfortable that I was actually understanding her correctly, I asked the mom to explain it. I was like, why do you and your daughter have such a disagreement about this? Like, why won't she accept the fact that you are doing all of these things? And she said that she told me that she didn't disagree with her daughter's interpretation of who she was on this earth. And she told me that when she was on earth, she was so afraid that she would die by drowning, that it was her biggest fear of her whole entire life. And as that fear kind of overtook her, the older she got, she limited her life. And she said then, she goes, so basically she was conveying to me that she had limited her life based on fear and the fear of drowning. And so she wouldn't do some fun things that she really wanted to do because she didn't want to drown and she didn't want to die that way. And she said that she regretted that because when she got to heaven, she realized she didn't die. Like that was what she said. She's like, I was so afraid of dying. And then I got to heaven and I realized that I didn't die. And when I realized I didn't die, I thought, well, isn't that the biggest joke on humanity? Like they make us think we're going to die. And she was laughing really hard about it. She's like, I thought my whole life I was going to die. And then I died and I realized I didn't die. And she's like, so when she was telling me all about this. She was telling me, like, with this idea that she figured it out, that death was a fallacy, that we don't really die. And because she recognized that, she decided that all of the things that she had limited herself from, from that fear, that she would have her heaven experience to kind of give herself back all the things and the limitations that she had experienced in her life based on a fear. And so basically, the thing that she made me to understand and that she reminded me of is that we are eternal and we cannot die. Energy cannot die. It cannot. It's a transformation. Maybe it's like a caterpillar to a butterfly, and maybe we lose that external expression of our body, but we cannot die. And I thought that that was one of the best things about my awakening when I had it, because I was able to witness myself as an independent part of me. Like, I was able to witness my humanity as an independent part of me. And I was witnessing my human self from another part of my consciousness. But both of those experiences, both of those beings, they're both me. And so when I came back to my body after my awakening, I recognized that the part of me that was experiencing the awakening was like the witness. And it was my inside voice. And I had known my whole life all about this inside voice. I mean, we all know that we have an inside voice. But after my awakening, I realized that that inside voice, that inner communication that I would have within myself, was connected to my spirit. It was connected to the eternal part of me, the soul part of me. And then that was like my goal. Like, I want my inner voice, or my inner soul, my soul self, I want her to embrace and love and participate in every single thing I do here in humanity, because that voice, that soul, that part of me, it doesn't age. It doesn't change. It's always the same. It's the part of me that has guided me with a profound wisdom that is literally unexplainable. But the feeling of my soul within me has never been different or older or younger. It feels unchangeable. So think of when you had those inner voice communications when you were like a teenager. You know, you're laying on the couch and you're watching TV and you're really, really focused on the TV show. And then that inner voice says, do your homework. And you're like, nah, I'll just wait till later. And then later you're like, oh, I wish I would have listened to that inner voice. That inner voice is the part of you that doesn't die. It's the part of you, however, that is limited by the earthly understanding that we have a beginning and an end, when we don't have a beginning or an end. And so this reading with this lady's mom just brought all of this into perspective, that my inside self doesn't change. It's been the same since I was a little kid, when I was in middle school, when I was in high school, and it's still the same today. Now, I humanly have changed. I've grown, I've aged, I've gathered my opinions, I've created my earthly life, but there's one part of me that feels constant. And that's my soul. That's my inside self. And that is what is enjoying the experience of the limitations that this lady had put on herself based on this fear she had. So my question to you is, can you recognize and connect with the part of you that is unchangeable? And how do you recognize that part of you during your everyday experiences? And I think it's important because our goal is to become best friends with our soul, best friends with the thing that always was, always is, and always will be. And I encourage you to try to, enhance that relationship with your soul, so that you don't find yourself limiting your earth experience due to a fear or due to an idea that you might die if you enjoy doing something. So try it out. Let me know how it works for you. So the next heaven whisper I want to share with you is connected to my friend's dad, Leonard. So that's Pam. She joins us sometimes on our Zoom. And I want to tell you a little bit about her dad. So before her dad passed away, and it was a little bit of time before he passed away. So it wasn't like he was on his deathbed at the time that he and I were having this conversation. But before he died, um, we were talking and joking around, and he said to me, he's like, Nikki, someday I'm going to die. And I said, Leonard, when you do die, will you please come back and check in with me and let me know like what it's like when you get there? And he said he would. And it was a very lighthearted conversation, but basically it was like, Leonard knew that one day he would die, and I asked him to come and let me know how it was, and he said he would. And I didn't think about it after that. I didn't hold on to that information, and I didn't even actually remember that he and I had that conversation again in a lighthearted manner a couple years before he passed. But shortly after Leonard passed and went to heaven, he came to visit me. And of course, I asked him, I was like, well, what's it like over there? And then he reminded me that that was actually a question that I had asked him, or that he and I were talking about. And, it was a vague vision, but I kind of remembered it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did ask him that. And so the thing that he showed me is that it's hard to explain, because I asked him, how is it there? And he said, Nikki, I don't know what to know first. And when he said that, it made me stop. And I was like, you don't know what to know first. It took a minute for it to register in my brain. And as he was saying that, he shared a vision with me that I can't describe it. It's an indescribable vision, because it was actually like a vision and a feeling at the same time, but more a feeling that created a vision. And what it told me was that there is no sequential manner of learning in heaven. It means there's no order to know something. In other words, if he's saying to me, I don't know what to know first, it means that he knew everything, all things, all at the same time, all at once. And the way that the vision came to me, it was like I became the knowledge. Like, it's not like I learned the knowledge, it's like I became the knowledge. And that's what he was showing me, was his experience. So it's not like you really learn all these things when you go to heaven. You are all of it. And so there's no first I want to know this, and second I want to know this, and then I want to know this, and then I want to know this. Like, that doesn't happen. You just become it. You just know it. And when he said that to me, I was like, oh my God, it blew my mind, because it totally talked to me about past, present, and future, meaning there is no past, present, and future in heaven. It's literally all right now. Nothing comes and goes. There's no first, second, or third. It all exists right now. And we all have the knowledge that we need inside of us, because we are part of that. And our eternal self, we're connected to that oneness. We're connected to everything that Leonard realized he knew when he entered into the realm of the heaven consciousness. And if we could get through and past our own thoughts and our own human discrepancies and our own human mind, we might be able to tap into some of that knowledge that he was referring to. So Leonard taught me that there is no time in heaven. So let me ask you this. Do you ever lose time in your day? Like when you get in the car to go to work, and you're driving to work, and then work is like 45 minutes away. But then all of a sudden you're like parking in the parking lot at work, and you're like, oh my God, how did I get here? Like, I just lost 40 minutes. I went into a zone, or I went into like la la land, but you arrived and you lost a chunk of time. what I learned and what I have discovered is that when you lose time on earth, it's because your human self and your spirit self are absorbing the same information. And when you find yourself like out of time, that you're not measuring time, your soul is taking in every experience that you're having. And that's awesome. and I love that about what he shared with me that day. So I'd like to ask you, if you had to say what experiences do you have in your life that take you away from time? Is it gardening? Is it dancing? Is it meditation? Is it driving to work? Is it when you read a book? How do you experience no time? Because if you can recognize that, then you'll recognize that time is an illusion of humanity, that the spirit world and the eternal experience that our soul lives in doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have a middle, doesn't have an end. It's just all right now. So when we're stressing about yesterday or we're stressing about tomorrow, we don't have to, because they don't really exist. And in this time and in this space and our body and soul relationship, love is really all that matters. And we know all things. So think about that. And yeah, I think that's it. So let's review. The three heaven whispers that we have talked about today are: there is no past, present, or future. We can know all things right now and have all the information that we need to guide our lives based on how well we communicate with our internal self or our spirit self. And that's important, to become best friends with your soul so that you can access all of that knowledge that Leonard was referring to. Heaven Whisper 2 is that we cannot die. And that sometimes when we feel fear in our life of doing something, it's really a limitation to our own experience, because we are eternal beings having a human experience. And if we embrace our human experience, then everything that we love and everything that we are continues to be, even when we don't have a human body to express it, we still get to express it. Heaven Whisper 3 is: don't worry about what you might lose when you die. Keep in mind that you'll never lose anything that fulfills you, anything that you love, anything that you've created, even anything that was gifted to you, or anything even that you bought. Your favorite things are the things going with you to heaven. So that's our spiritual focus topic for this month. And I hope you enjoyed the Whispers of Heaven. I know that they've impacted my life, and they've really, really helped me to embrace my soul. I hope you can do the same thing and be best friends with yourself. So I hope to see you guys on July 20th, Thursday, so that we can talk about all the things in our spiritual focus topic, but also so we can share time together and share our hard life lessons, so that maybe we can help other people not have to go through those hard life lessons, if we can share with them how we learned and how we grew from those. So I look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks again for joining, and thanks for sticking it out and watching this video. I hope it didn't ramble too much. I love you guys. Bye.